Hello again, it's Mrs. Spraygan. Moving on to graphing more quadratics, but this time in a different format. So the last one we worked on was in standard form, but if you look at these problems here, they're all factored, and that's a lovely thing because it gives us really two clear points on the graph, on the parabola, that are also answers or solutions or roots to the original equation if I set it equal to 0. So watch how nice this works. So now we don't need to find axis of symmetry right off the bat. We can look at the answers or the roots. So remember, if you take each one of these factors and set it equal to 0, which you don't all need to do this on paper, some you can do this in your head. You recognize that at -1 and at -5, you have these two answers or roots or solutions. Those are your x-intercepts. So keep in mind, a root or a solution to the equation with a 0 set equal to it is also the same thing as the x-intercept, which is really nice. Now, what that also shows us is because we understand parabolas are symmetrical, meaning they fold smack dab in between. All you need to do is find the middle place between -1 and 5, the middle number, and just put a dotted line out. That's your axis of symmetry. You don't have to do all that work you did in the very standard form. That's going to help us. What else helps us is looking at the A in front. So that A is now negative. That tells me this graph's going to go downward. So my vertex is going to be a little bit up here. So how do I find the vertex? Well, kind of the same way you did the other situation. So what you're going to do is you're going to remember that that symmetry, -3, is the first part of your vertex. And then you're going to go back up to this problem here, and you're going to put -3 into that and just work it out. All right, so let's just be a little cautious here. We're going to get negative there, -2 there, +2 there. It looks like we're getting +4. So that's going to go there. And then let's graph that. I'm running out of room here, so let me remove this. Okay, back 3, up 4, that's right there. I already have these two, so I can generally see my graph now is opening downward, but I don't have 5 points for clarity. I only have 3, so let's be a little bit more clear. If you remember from the last video, there's this one method that counts the differences between all the points. It's called the 1, 3, 5 method. Again, it's counting the differences between points. You start with the vertex, you make sure that that's a 1, and then you go down 1, left 1, down 1, right 1, and then from that point you go down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, which are those intercepts anyway, and graph. This is just a way to be more accurate with your curve, and then we'll label those points. So the intercepts we already had, that was -4, 0, and that was negative. It was not, it was -1, 0. And this was -5, 0. And over here, on this one, we went down 1, so that's a 3. We went to the right, so that's a -2. On the other way, again, that's a matching 3 because of symmetry. But we went left, so that's -4. So again, just for clarity and accuracy, we want to do at least 5 points. That's just a preference. I'm going to move a little bit farther down and all the way over to the right to do this one on the far right. The reason I'm doing it is because it has a 2, and so when we get those other points, we're going to see a little bit of a stretch. So let's first, because they're intercept factored form, let's get those x-intercepts that come from here and here. Now this does not have an x on it, so we don't need to worry about finding another intercept with that because there's no variable there, but that will tell us our stretch. It's also negative, it tells us it's up and down. So this one and this one tell us our zeros. So let's go to 5 and let's go to 3. We also know it's a negative 2. It's going to open downwards. So just a reminder to yourself to go in the correct direction when you're counting. So we got to get that vertex, like we always do. Again, we don't need to go back to standard form. We know that the vertex is the part of the axis of symmetry, and that's the middle line between these two answers. So if you look at these two dots, you know that there's a number smack dab in the middle here. Between 3 and 5 is 4. So you know your vertex is going to be 4 comma something. So now all you need to do is substitute it into the problem and work that out. Negative 2 times negative 1 times positive 1. That means we have a positive 2, it looks like. So 4 comma 2 over 4 up 2. There's our vertex. And now to get the other points, we can do a number of things. We could make a table. We could use the perfect square method. We could use the 1, 3, 5 method. But I want to notice, or have you notice again, that because that A was a 2, it's going to change this 1, 3, 5 method because there's a stretch. So that 2 out in front is what we call a vertical stretch. So it changes everything by 2. So we're going to count down 2, down 6, down 10. Okay, from each point. These are the space between points. Okay, so from the vertex back over here, we're going to count down 2 to the right 1. We already have that. Down 2 to the left 1. We already have that. From that point now, you're going to count the next part of the pattern, which is down 6. We were a little off the graph, and then over 1 more. So this dot here, and then we find the balance, 2 away, 2 away, and we're over here. We remove these extra dots of counting. And now you've got your points for your curve, and all you need to do is label them. So from 4, 2, we went to the right 1, and we went down 2. So that's a 0 sign. 2 down 2, 0. From here, there's a balance. We went 3, 0. And then for this one, we went from 4 to 5 to 6. But from the 0, remember we went down 6. Down 6. And over here, again, that's a 2. We went back 1 more. But we went down to balance with that. So there's just a lot of different ways to show how you find the balance of this parabola, but there's many things you need to pay attention. Again, the reason I did this was because not only did they have a 2 in front to show you that there was stretch, but it was also negative again to go down. So please again reach out if you have any questions. I'll show the next target in another video.